Hey guys, this is question MM125 of the Maths Methods Fortify study guide. We've got this function f of x equals 3 take 2 sine 2x on 3 for x is 0 to 6 pi. So let's make 6 pi over here. Awesome. And we need to sketch this graph. So first things first is to work out our period, amplitude, and midpoint. And any horizontal translation if we have it, which in this case we don't. So our amplitude to begin with is 2. That's our number out the front of our sine. Our midpoint is 3 because that's the number that's by itself here. This negative tells us that the graph is negative, funnily enough, which means that it's going to start by going downwards somehow. Our period is another story. So our period is equal to 2 pi over b, where b is our coefficient of our x value, which is this part here, which means that our period is equal to 2 pi over 2 over 3, which is equal to 3 pi. So we've got our amplitude and midpoint. We've got our period, which means we can now sketch it. So if our period is 3 pi, that means that the amount of cycles that we're going to have in this domain to 6 pi is 2, right? Because we can fit 1 cycle in 3 pi and 2 cycles in 6 pi. So 3 pi goes here. 3 pi on 2 is here. 3 pi on 4. 9 pi on 4. And here we've got 9 pi on 2. Got 15 pi on 4 and 21 pi on 4. Awesome. So this is quite an important part of your graph because each of these, each period has 4 sections to it, right? So if our midpoint is 3, that means we start at 3. Our low point is 1 because our amplitude is 2, so 3 minus 2, and our max point is 3 plus 2, which means our maximum is 5. So we start at this point 3 because there's no horizontal translation, so we know that we start at the 0 point. It's also a negative graph, which means that we start by going down. So our minimum occurs here, and this is how I always draw tree graphs. I always draw dots first and then join them up. So we go down like this to this point, back up to 3 pi on 2, up 9 pi on 4 to 3 pi, then down again to 15 pi on 4, 9 pi on 2, 21 pi on 4, 6 pi. And then we simply just join our dots together. Don't worry if it doesn't look too perfect, but you do want to try and stay away from being too jagged. So something like that would be perfect. And you'll obviously have the axis there as well, so that makes it a bit easier for you. But that's pretty much it. So I like to do little dotted lines through my midpoint. You don't have to do that, but I like to do it when I'm kind of rotating around the midpoint because it makes it a bit easier. So guys, just make sure that you have your period is 3 pi and your domain is 6 pi, 0 to 6 pi. So you have to be really conscious of the fact that you have 2 different cycles in here. So your first, it's hard to say where your marks come in with graphs. It's more like you start with, this is a 3-mark question, you start with being given 3 marks and then they take off marks based on what you don't show, right? So your axes will already be labeled. You won't need to label those. So what you want to show is your minimum and maximum points like this, your midpoint, and you're working out for all these things. So your first mark can sort of come here, second mark here, and then third mark for the graph. But like I said, it's really hard to tell where they come because it's more like they just take marks off instead of giving them to you. So guys, let me know if you have any questions in the comments. I'd love to hear from you, love to hear some feedback. But otherwise, guys, have an awesome day.